Over in Brazil, across the southern border, supporters of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro and his sons on Monday gathered for a vigil ahead of his trial next to the condominium where he's under house arrest currently. Bolsonaro's son, Jair Renan and Carlos, greeted the group, thanking them for their support in a crucial time for their father. Now, viewers, the verdict and the sentencing phase in the coup trial of the former Brazilian president, in fact, begin on Tuesday. That's today at the Supreme Court in capital Brasilia. The embattled leader faces a possible conviction of more than 30 years or 3 decades in prison for his alleged attempt to stay in power despite losing his re-election bid back in 2022. Meanwhile, a 5-justice panel will also have until September the 12th to deliver their decision. We also caught with O Globo's reporter Felipe Berini to understand exactly what's and how much is at stake in Brazil. Listen in.
What's the importance, the sheer importance of this trial, and how does this trial affect the public's trust in Brazil's judiciary?
Actually, you mentioned this is perhaps one of the most expected events in 2025. There is a major investigation, an open investigation, a lot of evidence, a lot of testimonies. It's about one of the most dangerous and most dangerous and more severe moments against our democracy since our democratization, since the end of the dictatorship. So there is a massive interest about this trial, because Bolsonaro is a leader of a political movement that strikes in front, right? That battles against Workers' Party, Lula's party, left, and so. There is the recent polls that show that there is support for the process, the investigation, and the trial. Most analysts, they using sources inside the Supreme Court, they say he will probably be convicted, but we don't know the details of the conviction. And next week on Monday, when the trial starts, Brazil time, all the eyes will be in Brasilia.
So the stakes are, of course, high for Jair Bolsonaro, but he does not seem to be alone, and the case seems to expand northwards beyond Brazil into the United States. So we've been seeing some kind of constant interference coming in from the United States, lobbying. We've seen Donald Trump's statements against Lula Ignacio da Silva. How do you see this foreign interference, and what actually is happening? What's the case about? If you could just round it up for all our viewers back home in India in a minute.
There is an attempt of interference at this point because Trump has imposed sanctions against the Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who's leading the process, the prosecution. He has suspended visas for most of Supreme Court justice, but at this time the justices are all like, we are standing together. We are not backing down, and the government, the executive by President Lula, he's saying, okay, we have our back. We are not take any actions regarding this issue at this moment, but we have our back. So the Brazilian institutions are making it clear that we will not tolerate foreign interferences. In not a political matter, actually, it's a criminal matter since former President Bolsonaro is being accused of a really serious crime, which is attempting a coup d'etat. So at this point, interference is only an attempt of interference, not de facto. It had no effect at all in the process at this moment.
We also saw, sticking with the US and Trump, we also saw reports of a Supreme Court judge who's actually taking care of this case, being sanctioned by the Donald Trump administration. What more can you tell us about that? What are these sanctions, and how pivotal a moment this is in not only the relationship between Brazil and the US, which dates back, but also Brazil's standing in BRICS and the global South?
Mm-hmm. Actually, this is a really delicate moment, since the United States were the first country to recognize Brazil's independence back in the 19th century. And Brazil and the United States, even we had ups and downs, but we can't remember since the dictatorship. We can't remember a moment where our relations were so bad, were so tense, We had so much tension. Lula and Trump they haven't spoken till now, so it's almost a year that Trump is in office. But you feel not on the first levels of U.S. government, but you feel on the lower levels of diplomacy that people are saying, no, Brazil is a partner. We haven't always been a partner, a political partner, an economic partner. We support each other. We had good relationships. Lula, for example, when he was elected the first time, he went to the United States to meet with President Bush, who is Republican. But they both spoke for like an hour and a half, only the two of them. So this is let's say it's a peculiar moment for Brazil-United States relations. Everybody's hoping that things can calm down. At this moment, we don't have any indication that will happen. But regarding Justice Alexandre de Moraes, he's under Magnitsky global sanctions, which means he's basically cut off from the U.S. Financial system. But the financial institutions in Brazil are right now, they're in sort of a limbo. They don't know exactly what to do. Some reports claim that his bank, Banco do Brasil, cut his access to foreign credit card companies, but we have a Brazilian credit card company that he manages to use, and we have the national payment system PIX, which is also under Trump's scrutiny because it's making the big techs really angry about it.
Taking from that, ever since the 20th of January, when the Trump 2.0 administration came, this sort of extra indulgence or interference with Brazil's internal workings, a criminal case, and you're someone who's been covering this for 2 odd decades. No one better to get perspective on this than you, Felipe. Is this only about a criminal case, justice, or is there something larger at play here, like tariffs?
It doesn't make any sense to impose tariffs on Brazil. The United States had for more than 10 years a trade surplus with Brazil, and it's increasing. So in economic terms, it doesn't make sense. However, there is an intense lobby by Bolsonaro's son Eduardo, who is a member of Congress. He's in the United States for months, and he's claiming everywhere, I have contact with Trump administration's officials. He's under investigation in Brazil for trying to meddle with the process. He's afraid that he exposed this personally, and some people off the record they're saying that this is probably true. That if he comes back to Brazil, he will be arrested, just like his father is under house arrest. So it's a really odd situation. I've been covering politics, international and domestic policies since the late 90s. I must confess to you, Arjun, I never saw anything like it as we are experiencing now, like in Brazil.
If you could just sum this situation up in a sentence or two, in your unique old way, how would you sum this situation up in 2025?
It's really hard. Maybe if we say expect the unexpected, but this is not this cannot not only summarize the Brazil-U.S. relationships now, but the whole foreign policy of Trump's government. Expect the unexpected. This at one side we must prepare for the worst, but on the other side, we see countries like Brazil, like India, like China, working ways to not depend so much on the United States.
Have these tariffs also brought the global South together? We see the Prime Minister Modi from India. He's in Japan. He'll be in China for the first time in 7 years. There's a thaw in relations. The Chinese foreign minister was in India. Now there's a talk of the global South, of BRICS. Do you think this has actually, like a silver lining, they say, has brought the global South together as a unit?
There is an intention. We saw it last July on the BRICS summit in Rio. We saw actually President Trump. He was not so happy about it. but we see the intention of global South countries to pursue their own paths. I mentioned BRICS. We are very diverse. We're a very diverse group. We have our own interests, our own kinds of relationships with the United States, but we see some intent of pursuing not to break with the United States, but have options, to have alternatives that do not harm our common interests and our national interests.
But thank you so much for taking out the time, Philippe, and we really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
This is Arjun Samar Mahendran signing out from the heart of Seoul, the very city center, only and exclusively for NDTV World.